Okay, we are live, people. Hi. um, this is my first time hosting, so I don't know what the etiquette is, but I'll just introduce myself and then get into our lovely, iconic guests that we have today. My name is Paul. I was not famously, I was on season 1 of Syrvivor Syracuse, Fans versus Firsts, and I'm happy to be here and talking about Mind, Body, Soul with our good friend Geneva. If you want to introduce yourself.
Yes. Hi, everybody. My name is Geneva. I was on the second season of Syrvivor Syracuse Snakes and Secrets, which basically aired earlier this year. But we filmed last year in January through April. So that was a crazy time during the pandemic because it was in person and then we went virtual at Final 6. So it was quite a fun time, but crazy. It was a crazy season. So if you haven't seen it, I would definitely recommend to go watch it. You can go watch my journey. It's quite a crazy one.
Mm-hmm. And Geneva, you have experience. This isn't your first podcast of today and yesterday, right?
Yeah, no. So yesterday I was on Rob Has a Podcast. I was covering some Big Brother with Rob's sister Nino, well-known Survivor player, Taryn Armstrong and Jacob Jones. So you can definitely check out that recap if you watch Big Brother, or if not, and you just want a good laugh. We talk about middle school crushes. We talk about just a lot of the chaos that comes with the veto competition, Zumba, a variety of different topics that probably don't even relate to Big Brother, but also kind of relate to the show.
Great. And we love Rob Has a Podcast, but I'm sorry, Rob, there might be one podcast that we at Syrvivor Syracuse love a little more, and they are Syrvivor Cast International. If you guys want to introduce yourselves.
You're too kind. I'm Cody, and
I'm Jackelyn.
And we are collectively Syrvivor Cast International, and so happy to be talking to you guys about our favorite college LRG.
Seriously,
oh yeah,
definitely. He has been roping me into the college aspect while I've been roping him into the international larger Survivor games. And so it's been a little give and take, but Syracuse is definitely the best college that we've watched.
Have you seen both our seasons then?
No, this is the first season of Syracuse we've watched, but I think we will most definitely have to go back.
And today I did, since I'm a teacher and it's summer vacation, I did a little bit of digging and just watched a couple of season episodes, but I haven't cruised all the way through. Nice. But I wanted to lay a little bit of the land.
For sure. Well, I'm so glad you guys are watching. How did you find us, and why did you choose us to pod about out of every college Survivor?
Well, we started covering New York Vets versus Contenders, so the current season of Survivor New York, and then we're covering Liberty University and CNU. So it's I really liked the mind, body, soul concept. I think that's what kind of hooked me in initially.
Mm-hmm.
And I get talked into pretty much anything that he wants to podcast about.
Yeah, so, yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's great. I'm glad you guys are here. It's so nice to see your faces after hearing you. Everybody watching, please wish Jackelyn the best with her leg that's been broken for a while.
Forever. It's pre-pandemic break, which is weird.
Yeah, it's been through a lot. But yeah, let's just get into it at this point, I guess. All right, so coming off of last week, we had the You Up challenge, which was a great way to torture everyone throughout the week, give them fun little tasks. Edited by the lovely, that challenge part was edited by Sabrina, who's on the season, so she did a great job blending that in. And we had a double tribal situation where both tribes went to tribal, voted, and didn't find out if their votes were cast or counted until after the challenge results were read there. And we saw Mike get sent home, and by a unanimous vote. And we also saw Joe get all the votes cast towards him, and he voted for Carl. And to start this episode off, we got a confessional from Joe, and he fully still thought everyone was voting out Carl. So that'll be interesting to see play out, right? I don't know. So yeah, so we enter the merge. What do you guys think? We have a 4-4-4 split, which that was pretty cool, I guess. Like, what are the odds of that? I don't know, just working out like that from each of the 3 original tribes. How do you feel about a merge at 12?
I am always super excited when players are kind of able to shed their old tribal groupings when it comes to a merge. So I think when coming in with such a large number and being equal splits, it leaves room for kind of that remingling of alliances, which is really fun. When you go with smaller numbers, I feel like you've really worked hard with that group and you kind of really get with that group. And I think giving a larger number, it leaves more room for change, which is fun.
Yeah, and I love a merge. Opportunities just to mix up the game, always fun. Fun to have a week off from the immunity challenge, and the auction is always such a fun bonding experience between the 2 now fully together tribes. I do find I always hope they kind of cast off their old tribes a little bit more than they do. And those alliances always kind of run deeper. The chance to mix things up is limited, but I think the opportunity is always a lot of fun.
Yeah, I feel like the merge is my favorite part. For those who've seen season 2, that's kind of where I had essentially a new life in the game, where, I actually lost a lot of my allies. Like, I think even Madison talked about, losing people that she was FaceTiming. So I kind of had that challenge. And so, like, coming into the merge, but our merge was 11 people. It was just a nice opportunity, not only to maybe re-engage with old people who maybe I had certain feelings about, or I hadn't seen in a while, or hadn't talked game with in a while, but also get the chance to get to know new people and form new relationships. And I think it is interesting you do have that even split. I think in my experience, we had like 2 tribes, and then we did have like a 3-tribe swap. But I would say like those 3 tribes didn't have like that distinct identity like we have, with this season. So I'm really interested to see how things play out. But I think the merge is always an exciting time. And it was interesting to see that they brought in the auction at this point of the game.
How did you feel about Spirit being the new tribe name?
I didn't mind it because I think actually, it makes sense. They were going with the theme, so I'm fine with it. It would have been weird, I think, maybe if they chose something that was just like completely out there that didn't kind of go along with what we've been, experiencing, what we've been seeing. What did you think?
I was also really glad that they fit with the flow of it. I think there always leaves room for when they're naming themselves for just really weird names or names that you're just like, how did this become? And it's an awkward story. So I'm glad that it just kind of flowed. It fit well, I think.
Yes, I was also into it. We had the Peptali Bismali on Survivor CNU, a self-named tribe recently, so it can really go out the window if, there's not. But yeah, Spirit I think is good. Good to stay on theme.
Definitely. And I think based on how Luke was asking them about the tribe name, I think Lindsay's the one that pitched it because she was like, oh, I thought it was kind of basic, but like everyone liked it. So like there's no way she's going to shade everyone else if it was someone else's idea. So I'm glad that even if like it could be perceived as like a basic name, it goes with a theme. And we had someone on the record saying like, hey, we know this was easy, but we did what works for us.
Sometimes the easy choice is the right choice. The most obvious. It's right there.
Mm-hmm. Don't dive out of bounds. Season 2, I think you guys were the F Rona tribe, right? Because of what happened.
Yeah. I was like, I don't even remember what her name was because at that point it was just like, I guess, irrelevant. But yeah, the other tribes we had were Maroon 9, Zeleni, and then Vikavora, which Vikavora we didn't even choose. Luke just gave that to us. So. Yeah, I don't know.
Pull that out of, but yeah, for my first season, Fans vs. Firsts, we also had another Poison twist in. So we didn't get footage of this, but I did name the tribe Toxic by Britney Spears. That's the full name of the tribe.
Oh man,
Shortened to Toxic, but full name Britney Spears, Free Britney. But
#Free Britney. Yes.
Something
Poison
lives on.
agree on across tribal boundaries. But let's get back to this silent auction. Different from a regular auction, and I liked that we had this immunity factor going into it. And you could not have asked for a crazier outcome than that. That was, I mean, I wouldn't have bid on it. Would you have bid on it? What was your read on everyone and no one bidding on it?
I think everyone's going to bid on it, so I'm not going to, and that's just the thought everyone had. So I'm sure I would have also been in that camp, and yeah, I think I would have spread my money across various things. That would have been my move.
Would you have pulled a Kevin and accidentally like gotten more money but not fully understood what you were doing for more money?
I love Kevin in this episode so much, so I strive to be like Kevin all the time. So I guess so, yes. I would accidentally give up my vote and regret it, but things would work out.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, when I had the auction, I didn't actually use any money because I kept saving it with the hopes of like something was coming, because it was a different format in which where it was like one at a time, something came out. But in the end, I think spreading it out if possible is always a good idea because you could potentially get something out of it. But I always feel like sometimes it can be risky to take something in exchange of something else, like potentially losing a vote or potentially losing a chance of immunity. And especially at the beginning of the merge, unless you I guess that maybe you're in trouble, it may not necessarily be worth it to take that. So I think it just really depends on where you are in the game and what you are willing to risk at that point in time.
And I think that's also why no one ended up bidding for immunity, because you could have the thought like, oh, I'm sure someone else is going to bid more than me. But considering the tribal splits, no one felt like they were in that position where, oh, I need to put all my money in to be safe this week. Because we had Owen earlier in the season grab his own individual immunity and like it put a little target on his back, which is kind of subsided for now. But I don't think anyone wanted to come out of the gate like with being that person where you got the first one, congrats, but what do you do from there? I don't know.
It's a big move. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I would have thrown like $20 on it or something, just thinking like, oh, why not? And then no one would have known how much money I spent on it, and it would have been a hot mess.
Exactly. I'd hope I would, but like, there's no way to know.
Exactly. It's hard to game in some ways. So.
Mm-hmm. So I'll just run through the other items real quick, just to recap. Covered item number 7 was won by Madison, and it was just a piece of paper from our very own Jake Niebuhr saying, I wasted my money at the auction, and this is the case. So
Jake, you're terrible.
And Jake is extra terrible because you can hear him during the auction. She's about to start reading it, and Luke tells her to read it, but Jake's I don't know. I don't think so. Jake, producer Niebuhr, he's like, and then Luke clarified you could read it now, and like maybe Madison should have read it, but like it is kind of nice to have this mystery item that you can only tell your besties about. I don't know.
I mean, unless it sucks so bad that like it gives you a bigger target with no payoff. So
true.
Yeah.
Kind of the equivalent of like the glass of water at the auction normally is.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Or a small bowl of rice. There you are.
Yeah, take notes.
Oh, yeah.
Production team, take notes. And then we got Joe get a beer and 3 lollipops, which it's a good thing Joe was 21.
I'm pretty sure I heard them clarify it was 4 lollies, but I'm not positive. I think that fourth one is super important.
I did write down 3, and you're right. I just missed the word.
Wow, with the details over here.
Okay. I think Madison also got 4 of something, but it was 4 condoms. I'm pretty sure I got that number right, but that was
that was also a prize on our season. So
a Survivor
I
Syracuse.
think that's just like a weird tradition, and so people luck out or don't, depending, I guess.
I think condoms, lollipops, and beer are all on brand for College Survivor, so I'm on board with it.
We were just sorry, go.
Yeah, we got this comment from Madison clarifying that the what she got wasn't covered, but she definitely had the full intention of playing it off as something. So she was playing it off. It just didn't make the edit. Our episodes. We accept. We love Survivor Cast International for giving us good critiques as well. College Survivor, it's hard. We want to be inclusive. We want to give everyone screen time, but we also want to be concise. And, it can get dicey. But thank you for giving us that critiques that we might not get otherwise.
I mean, we have like ridiculously long episodes, so we're no one to talk about going into the editing room.
Though I will say it's more so when you like go off on your own and record solo that they get ridiculous.
I mean, and those are the worst episodes. Me alone
in the car.
Yes, no good.
Yeah, for those that might not have followed up with Survivor International, they believe we're a deep fake, all stimulated. I don't know if this call is helping them like not believe that, or if it's just reinforcing it. No way to know. Sorry if you don't see me as human, but
now we understand why we were invited on to try to break the idea. So good forethought, but now we understand that it's just even more.
Yeah,
Madison,
even more elaborate than you can imagine.
The technology has really come some ways. I'm impressed. No,
Yeah.
Madison did reach out on Twitter to tell me that she is a person, so I'm a believer.
Yeah,
I mean, if they said
I don't know. So true, Sabrina.
Mind body simulation.
Oh,
That should have been
Sabrina just became my favorite.
All right. So back to the auction real quick. And then Joe got another food bonus item. It was a care pack from home, as Luke called it, and then he said courtesy of my mom, which very sweet. Mrs. Uriardi, thank you for that. Nice ramen. And Luke and Joe tried to get us that little ramen sponsorship. So we'll see if anyone reaches out to us. I don't know. Ryan with the strawberry squishable, another failed sponsorship attempt. We're really trying out here. I think Scotty Survivor the one with the sponsor? One of them has a sponsor, like Nike or something crazy.
wow.
So please, I mean, we have Survivor Cast International, so
But
really
yeah,
anyone's game.
it's equivalent.
You'll get the
1000%.
Survivor Cast International boost, and Nike will be calling tomorrow. I'm sure.
So there are some like 11-year-olds scouring the podcasting realm trying to find our podcast because I don't tell my students what our podcast is.
Right. Makes
So
sense.
you're being hunted, just so you know.
Well, find us. We should boost our reach. All right. And Kevin got $5 real. Congrats, Kevin. That's awesome. That's
Yes.
like a lot of people play this game and like they don't get any money. So for Kevin to get $5 for free, awesome.
Right to tuition.
Mm-hmm. Holly also got a mystery piece of paper, which we lost the footage on her like reading it, but it was what Madison says later in the episode. It was I forgot the fancy name for it. Like you can leave tribal. And
Oh yeah, like safety without power type situation. Yeah.
Thank you, Geneva. Yeah, that. So it didn't come in today, but definitely could be useful for later. And I guess word got out. So who knows how useful it'll be. Owen gave up. He said he gave up competing in next week's challenge, but he really gave up his vote for that summit advantage. We'll get to that soon. Kevin got the idol clue. We'll get to soon. But yeah. Why don't we get into the summit advantage? What did you think of that? It was kind of like meh at first, but then he gets like a little bonus in it. But I mean, great concept. Very Island of the Idols of us.
Do we think Owen's making it to final 3? Because I feel like that's where the value of it lies, right?
Mm-hmm. But it is also a legacy advantage. So
Yes. So
he doesn't?
it passes on to whoever.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
I love the concept. And I think we've seen also in New York on their current season, someone from a previous season coming back and giving some advice. So I think it's a fun thing to do, most definitely. I wonder if he fully utilized it. If he could have dug a little deeper on the question. But I think doing like a broad, how do you gain trust? It's not a terrible avenue to go down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I kind of wish they just had a picnic, that there was no like legacy add-on.
You're just hanging out and having fun.
we had to throw this guy a bone,
Yeah, I mean, I liked it. I mean, it was, of course, great to see the 2 winners back. And but I was wondering, like, I mean, was that literally it, or was there more? Did he get to ask anything else? I mean, the way it looked like there wasn't much else, but I just feel like he didn't really I don't know. I feel like he didn't really get a lot. But I do feel like this advantage could be very useful, especially depending on who's in the final three. It might come down to a potential vote, and maybe if you have someone who will never vote for you, it's very great to use that blocker, because then you can at least get that vote away, from the other person that you're competing against. So I think it definitely would be useful depending on how the vote would be. But I don't know necessarily at this point, who's going to be there specifically, like within that three, and how we'll get, like what the situation will be. So I think it just really depends on who's there. And it would be interesting to know, like, who will it end up getting willed to in the future, and who will end up getting it at the end.
Unless
Clarifying question. Oh, sorry.
Oh, you're good.
Okay, so it nullifies someone's vote in the final three for the winner. Do they have to tell that person before the votes happen? Like, because I feel like that could go in a negative way too. If I were to like be in the final three, stand up like, oh, I'm going to nullify your vote. Someone else is on the fence between a couple of people. That might be a decision also. It's like, oh, you're nullifying someone's vote. Well, I'm going to go with the other person that I was leaning in between, maybe. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is so that no one finds out until after the votes are cast, but the person plays it before the votes are cast, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah, which I guess is why there's that 2-hour prior deadline on Zoom with Luke. He's like, I don't want any surprise. I need to know. I need you to tell me why and what the situation is, and that's going to happen that way.
Exactly. Yeah, and we just got confirmation from producer Jake Niebuhr himself. The event is not revealed until votes were locked. Thank you. And we also got clarification from Madison. The Summit event was a long conversation. It was a bunch more questions, but it really was that similar, like Ava was really known for her social game and Austin for his strategic game. So having the two of them there was a great combo of people to give advice to. And it is a little different, though, because Ava was on the first season, which was the only season pre-COVID, like fully pre-COVID. So when she says just hang out and make friends with everyone, like,
right. Not so simple.
Really not know the world we're living in now. No.
Yeah. But
yeah, I'm really interested to hear what Austin had to say, because also I think at this point our season hadn't aired, so like no one really knew his game. So that's why I'm maybe I'll ask him, but I was just like curious, like what he was going to say in that point. Yeah, she's probably not giving the best advice for the times, but
for the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Austin, timeless. That was like solid advice. Working closely with one person that you can rely on. But yeah, so after that, I guess let's talk vlogs a little bit, like strategy. We have a lot going on because we have this 4-4-4 mind, body, soul split. And then we have this new soul, new body tribe dynamic where new soul is really just mostly soul sticking together because they voted out Mike and Jason. And then with new body, we kind of have this merging of the minds, like Owen calls it, which is Owen, Carl, Lydia, and Madison. So there's a lot of interwoven dynamics. I mean, then we got the Narcs Alliance between Kevin, Cass, and Polly, and there's a lot. And then Lydia's talking to Zach, which is blowing up. Where do you guys want to start? What stuck out to you? Because Survivor Cast International, I know you're not super strategists, but do you have in particular?
It was fun to watch this episode and not be talking over it, and like really digging into the strategy. So I appreciated that. So much going on, so much in this episode. What jumped out to you, Jackie?
Okay,
right
just throwing it right. Okay, so I think that I really enjoyed Madison's kind of jumping around. I think that she was able to kind of keep it low key enough in having conversations in this spreadsheet building.
That spreadsheet.
That's right. The spreadsheet is like huge, right? Like not only feeling like you're keyed in enough, but also like building conversations of like, okay, I know I'm not really close with this person, but you're close with that person. So what conversations have you had to kind of piece it all together? I hope you also got really good grades that semester, Madison, because that's a lot of effort.
Yeah, we already had Lydia talking about her grades like dropping, and like I know from my firsthand experience, school and Survivor, one is more important than the other, and you know which one it is.
Don't do a 1-year master's while doing Survivor Syracuse. That's what I'd say, at least in my experience. So.
Oh man.
But I graduated and I did well, so it's okay. But it's just in the time, it was like, I should not be spending hours looking for idols. What am I doing?
No. Yeah, Geneva was one of our first grad students with Nasan on her season, and like for her to be like a fully like Geneva, you're like super mature for your age as is, and for you to already be older than all these people, and that cast was predominantly freshmen. Such a weird maturity age dynamic, and for you to have like your grad level coursework. Well, I know these people are doing like psych like 205 or whatever the beginner levels are. Very different outside commitment levels, but
oh yeah, it was a lot, but I did it. It's all good. But yeah, that's, I think the thing is like, this is what's so challenging in a sense about College Survivor in comparison to just, I mean, like a normal like LRG is like, you're doing it, but you're also doing school. I mean, of course you don't have to necessarily deal with like the elements and starving, but you just have all these other priorities going on in addition to playing the game. So that does make it even more overwhelming and stressful.
That's an aspect of it, I think, that I often forget while watching. It's so easy to lose sight of that. That's a whole nother element to take into consideration, really.
I was just watching Holly, I think, not this episode, but last episode, in the Zoom class, I'm assuming with her camera off, like waiting, for the You Up challenge. And like, so I graduated with my master's in May. So I was both teaching Zoom classes to my students and in Zoom classes as a student. And so just like in my head, the teacher and me like, oh my goodness. But then I'm like, real life. That struggle I can imagine is just ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Like with COVID, like I feel like we were all glued to our screens anyways. And then Zoom school, it was its own thing. Like we all tried, like college, you could only listen to so many lectures through Zoom, but with You Up going on, that was kind of like malicious on our part, but like,
and then Lydia pissing everyone off.
Yes, I mean, the Lydia drama,
the
conflicting stories.
I was scared for Lydia, but it was all okay. I mean, like, I think what was interesting about this episode for me too is like, I was starting to see a lot of elements of like orgs and minis like in this episode, kind of with that, that block advantage. That's kind of like something you would commonly see like in a mini, like with a jury, that sort of thing. And the wheel and with tribal instead of, rocks. So there are just some fun, I think, interesting elements that we got to see. But yeah, this episode was quite chaotic because it's like, who said what? Who do I believe? This is the challenges that come with the merge is like, even though you have some established relationships, you don't know if they're going to stick. You don't know what's going to happen. People are going to come up with different things in their, own agendas. You have things where like, Kevin's looking for idols, but then, tells other people about these idols, but like maybe he shouldn't have told. So it's just like all this sort of stuff. No, but you know what? Like that's the challenge too, is like you have to figure out like who can you really trust? Like, or can you not trust them? And that's what the balance that you have to be able to figure out. And it becomes that complex. You don't really know where people stand with you and how people are going to use that information. Because we ultimately heard like, would we even share this information with Kevin if we found the idol? And like, that's even something like I think even experienced my own allies where they may have not shared things with me, even if I shared them with them. So that's where I think this game becomes really difficult.
Well, I think that also brings it back to a point that Paul asked at the very beginning of like dynamics of merging at 12 and also merging after having 3 distinct tribes and then almost equal time in 2 distinct tribes. Just like really splitting up can I trust people from the first grouping? Do I need to, reassess? Yeah, I feel that.
Yeah, and I loved Kevin just making decisions in this episode and then immediately regretting those decisions and kicking himself. And also speaking on some of those aspects that you might traditionally see in like an online game. I think this season has done such a good job blending those online aspects with the in-person aspects. Stood out to both of us, I think, watching this episode, most definitely.
Thank you. Again, it means so much coming from you guys and your wide, because you guys do have a lot of expertise in all these different Survivor.
We do watch a lot of different Survivor content.
I love how like us like 3/4 paying attention, 1/4 just being ridiculous is expertise, but I'm gonna take it.
I feel like I know these dorm rooms just by the back of my hand now.
Yeah, no one seems to have any ice cube trays out. You're
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, you're right. Sadler Hall really does look like a prison from the inside of the wall. Blocks.
Those bare concrete walls are a little grim.
Yeah, but as we've talked about with this episode, I'm trying to think of a good transition, but
well, I guess just let's talk about the the Lydia situation, like what was said, and or the Zach, let's Lydia, Zach, all of that. I guess like we can just
before we talk about that, why don't we bring in someone who has direct personal experience with these situations. You might know him as one of thank you, Jacob K, by the way, one of our biggest fans, for giving us this fun fact in the comments. The second person in Survivor history to not have any votes cast against them after Ava, the winner of season 1. He was gotten out by rocks. Here he is. Hi, Carl.
Hey,
Carl with the K.
Carl with the K.
So tragic. I'm so sorry. That's.
I've had some time to process it now, but yeah, it was not the best way to go out.
Yeah,
I was taking notes for this episode and had decided that you were my front runner, and then it all came tumbling down at the end. I was heartbroken.
Yeah, it was interesting because I picked the pieces up a little bit after Molly left. Finally, like kind of felt my footing going, especially after a couple crazy weeks, and then it was. I mean, I said it. Kind of after I went out, it was the 1 in 10 odds. And that's all it ended up being. It was as much as I could set up the game. I just got unlucky.
And it is super tragic because we did cast you as this like super fan type. Like obviously you're on the Mind Tribe. Like we saw this like inner strategist in you, and like you didn't really have that opportunity to take charge. I mean, early weeks like definitely like you were playing the game. Like respect for that, because not everyone plays the game in the beginning, but. And yeah, like you said, with losing Molly, being able to like play your own game, and now this, like you really, I can't imagine just being sent home on rocks, because you had that opportunity to change your vote during the revote. What was your thought process then?
I definitely didn't think about changing votes. The biggest thing was trying to figure out who didn't vote. That was what I remember the most from that revote, because the number of votes was really strange. It was like one of those things where you're like, where are things going? And there was a little bit of talk of trying to get other people to flip, but I was so locked in. There was no way I was flipping on Lydia. I mean, the biggest thing with my game too, and part of why I think I didn't play as far out in front, was because I knew how hard Lydia was playing, and I felt like I knew a lot of her game, and I kind of just wanted to sit right behind her. That was really the plan, and it seemed to be working pretty well too. So that was like my plan, was to go with Lydia a little bit further past this. So I definitely didn't want to flip on her here. Yeah, I remember going to the rocks just thinking like, okay, who else could I want to get out here? Like just anybody on the other side is fine. But obviously didn't go that way.
Did you think anyone was gonna flip?
Not really. I there was like a little bit of talk of some people who could maybe swing around, but none of those were very strong relationships. They were all kind of built off the half relationships from previous tribes. So I don't remember how much this was covered in the episode, but Owen and Holly had talked a bunch this week. So there was a little bit of chance that Holly would flip. That was kind of a discussion. And then, I mean, we had a lot of doubts about Kevin at this point, and he had specifically said like, it wasn't my vote that was gone, but if he could have flipped, I wasn't fully trusting of Kevin at this point either.
Makes sense.
But he did give you that idol clue And
He did. He did.
got substance.
He made me so paranoid the week before.
Yeah. Well, and then after he gave you and Lydia the idol clue, you both talk about how you don't trust him because he threw out Zach's name as a target, which you were both okay with, I believe, and then Owen and Madison, who you were in cahoots with. Well, you guys were working with them. Was Kevin working with them?
Kevin was sort of working with them to an extent, but he definitely was not as close to them as we were. So yeah, I don't know if it was a combination of things. I mean, we didn't know the specific name of the Narcs Alliance, but it wasn't a secret that Kevin and Holly and Cass were all like just friends. Like those are the types of things that kind of come out through the game, especially with the college game where it's not contained. Like we just have mutual friends with people. You kind of hear from things. It's the same thing with Lindsay and Ryan trying to hide their relationship. Like they're far too close in real life for that to really do much. So it was a lot of those types of things that were, I think, really playing on us. Was the idea of an RA alliance, I think, was 5 or 6 weeks old. I mean, it was the conspiracy theory that we'd all gone all in on, where we were going to develop targets out of. Like, it was the most important thing by far, was like us trying to figure out when the RAs were going to flip, how are they working together, all that.
Mom has been on to Kevin.
So Kevin was just on the wrong season. He should have been on my season because Snakes and Secrets.
Kevin would have exploded on your season, I think. I don't know if you could have.
Yeah, season 2, you're great, iconic, but probably the most toxic season I've seen.
I mean, it was a toxic season. So, but
Yeah.
I'm basically good with, I think, almost everybody on the cast. So it's great. I went from the most secretly hated to, I think, not as hated anymore. But
well, I think that's a part of the college social experiment aspect. Like season 1, it was Luke Uriarty, our host and like co-creator with Mel, built this club up from the ground up, and like for his first casting pool, he got a lot of people that he knew from similar circles, so that kind of played into it a bit. Season 2 was the opposite of that. It was a lot of people that didn't know each other at all, and because it's college Survivor, and because like it's Syracuse, like and everyone who like we had like a lot of applications for that season. People were cutthroat, taking things personally, making friends, ending friendships, falling in love. Season 3, I think we had a good balance of that. We had some pre-connections that like play into the game, and then we had a lot of new connections being made. There's drama and like a lot of strategic gameplay, and it gets aggressive. Like we heard Lydia dropping the F-bomb today. Master. Last episode she was saying fudging, and then this episode she was going off about Holly. But it's all game related, and I think that I'm really proud of Mind, Body, Soul for that. Keeping game and personal separate is easier said than done. But Carl, how was it this week being in there? Like, like with the messiness of Kevin's suspicions with the Narc Alliance, with the Zach Lydia information pipeline. That was a mess.
This week definitely was a mess. I mean, it was also, I don't even think it made the episode, but the week before I had talked to Ryan Baker just because I was like, Merge is probably coming, like, let's start talking. So like there was a couple of those conversations that are just like so out of left field that have nothing to do with the game, but like we hit a merge and we were trying to get there. So a lot of what I remember from this week was just, all right, there's only a few people I haven't played with. So like I need to get to them first, try to start talking to them. And then it was also trying to lock in the people who I felt was close to me, especially with getting Sabrina back. Because I had spent, when Sabrina was over on New Soul, Sabrina and I had been talking the whole time. We were like fully in the loop with each other. And so when she came back, my core plan was really just working off of that. And so there was a lot of just like, everybody's back together. Mind Tribe had our like happy little group chat going together. Like it was that group, especially like the Mind Tribe group, even with the suspicion there of Kevin, despite that, like very, very close group, like from the start, from that initial group. I mean, that's something that's held through too. I mean, speaking of College Survivor and what you kind of get out of it is like that mind group is some of the best friends I made in college, really. And so I'm really, really grateful for them. But yeah, that week was, I think the strangest part for me about that week is, and I kind of mentioned that, I had my name wasn't on the radar. I didn't hear about my name. I'd been kind of stressed in past weeks too. So like this week was actually less stressful game wise in a lot of reasons. And obviously that didn't work out, but not even of anything of my doing. Like I don't have any regrets thinking like I should have strategized harder or tried to do this or that. Like at the end of the day, I got unlucky. And you know, that's life.
Such is life.
Yeah, you were robbed, obviously, because that's not something you can really control. I mean, you could have, but it's like, why would you? It wouldn't have made any sense. So
yeah, same thing with the auction too. I mean, I've thought about that. Like maybe I would have put money down in the auction, but at that point, I had just done Well and You Up. Like I kind of had a comp threat label on me. So I was like, I can't go get an immunity. That'd be a terrible idea, and I don't even need it. Why would I get immunity right now? That was like very much my thought process. I was like, this is so. I mean, I can definitely hindsight look back at that and say like that could have gone differently, but no, I think I would have done pretty much everything the same.
So I guess so if you were still in the game at this point, like what were your hopes? What were your dreams? What did you ideally want to do?
Yeah, so my ideal final three was Owen and Sabrina, actually. So I wanted to work Sabrina off of Lydia as much as I could, and eventually get her to flip, which was part of having Lydia play out in front of me. And then Owen, I knew I had. Like, I knew we were good. Like, that was just like, as soon as we started talking, we didn't talk the first week that much when we swapped tribes. But after that, Owen and I, like, as soon as we were, like, I knew we could just keep working together. So that was definitely my plan. I remember I liked the Lindsay target. I wanted to get Ryan Baker out eventually, but I also thought he was a good shield. Like, I thought he was just a good target to have on the other side. But yeah, I think most of my plan was try to get down to like final 7 or so with enough numbers to take a shot at Lydia, who I felt like was probably playing the best game at that point, at least compared to mine, or at least the game I knew the most about. And so a lot of my game was, how do I get in a position where I can take a shot at her before she takes a shot at me?
Right. It's good. I feel like it's always interesting to hear like the inside of what people would do, especially in your case, because it's like, if this, rock situation didn't happen, you would have been in the game. So
yeah, truly just the worst way to go out, just where, you can look back and, like you said, hindsight, but at the end of the day, nothing you could do.
Yeah, and even like looking back at the footage for this episode, like it's not funny. I guess it's dramatically ironic, like dramatic irony. Like, we know, at least like if anyone rewatches this episode, like brownie points for you, but like you get to see Carl really like come into himself in the game. He's like, I'm working with Lydia, but like down on the road, I'm definitely gonna like take her down a notch. And then even like in your very last vlog, you're like, I think I'm feeling fine. And I don't know if like your eye was switching or something, but it looks like you're literally winking at the camera.
Yeah. I made a comment that Tribal's in 8 hours. I don't remember exactly when it was, probably like 4. I would definitely been up all night. Like it was like absolutely like a 6 a.m. vlog, which I had a few of this year. For some reason, every time I wouldn't vlog at any other point during a day, but then at like 6 a.m., I wouldn't have been able to sleep, and I'd be like, this is the time to pour it all out. So yeah, that last vlog was just exhausted. And I do remember feeling like, all right, maybe I should have played a little bit more this week, but I was like, next week's there. So
yeah, and it's like if you play a little bit more, then you get like this Lydia target on you for being the one like spreading the lies.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, and I did feel good coming out. Just like I really did. I was kind of surprised once I came out of how well I had done keeping the target low on me. Because I think you can always say you try to do it. I mean, nobody's in there trying to paint a target on themselves. But I was kind of surprised when I came out. I was like, oh, nobody actually wanted to come for me. Wow. So that was like a nice silver lining coming out of it. There was a lot of those. It was disappointing to go out, but I was really, really proud of the game I played by the time I made it out.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything from your narrative that you feel that we didn't see that you want people to know about?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Or do you feel like the edit kind of
The edit
portrayed
was-
everything
It's
that you?
pretty good. I mean, part of it is that you could take. There's certain episodes where you could take a vlog from Lydia and put in a vlog from me, and it wouldn't be that different.
Mhm.
So, for example, like the Jen and the Colin vote, like who technically called those is debatable. So, like sometimes I'd like just be like, "All right, she got the credit, but it's fine. I'm not that petty." But, and then also I don't think I was in as much danger the week that Adam flipped on Molly. By the end of that week, I had done a decent amount of damage control. Like I'd started establishing the relationship with Madison that you see into the next week. So some of that stuff, like I understand why the edit wanted to make it seem like I might go. But that week I definitely ended up being in an okay spot, at least to save myself. So that was a little thing in the edit, but no, for the most part, it's just been really fun to watch it all back and just see all the little things, remember certain things, see the things that we missed, and yeah, just watch this incredible time I had with some friends. It was a really, really amazing experience.
Mm-hmm.
So after getting voted out, did you have to like cold turkey some friendships for a little while? And like, how was that transition?
So the first person I got voted out, and I went and sat on Molly LaPesca's porch for like 3 hours. That's what I did because she was already out. And then at one point, Sabrina did come by, and we just had to stop talking game. That was what it usually was. Like, we couldn't talk game to anybody still in. But the problem was that was all we were doing, basically. Like, we were just FaceTiming for hours a day about game. And so, like, as people were in the game and then out of the game, that was it. You just, like, once you're out, you can only talk to Survivor to people who are already out. So then it was, like, especially being first in jury, too. Because all the pre-jury people, like, really don't care. First in jury, I was like, all right, now we get a long wait.
Yeah. Being the first in jury, like, were you like looking forward to like?
I was really glad I made merge. I was really glad I was in the jury, but I was also just salty that I didn't get a chance to keep going. I think it was mainly I really felt pretty secure, especially in that vote, because that vote without the missing votes would have been a very different question. And so, yeah, I felt really, really secure those few weeks. I felt the most secure I had felt in the game, I think, at the merge. Funny enough.
How was the merge feast? Did you enjoy that?
The merge feast was excellent. Honestly, it was better than I expected. Some good cookies, nice bottled water. I mean, there was. What else could you ask for, really?
Some gluten-free options, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was great to hear. You know,
Yeah.
being inclusive of
exactly.
restrictions.
The tribe naming was there was a name thrown out and nobody else wanted to say it. We're like, it's good, spirit, it's fine. But yeah, no, the merge was interesting. It was also like the challenge and the actual merge were split there, because usually we do like the challenge right after tribal pretty much, and so we had a little bit of a gap there where we merged and then we had a little bit of time. So that was good. It was good. Again, we got to meet people and start building those relationships pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm. All right, well, Carl, it's been great to have you. I'm so glad you're able to make it. One last couple of it's like a dual question, I guess. As soon as you were voted out, if you can put us in that place, obviously beneath all the shock of being sent home by rocks, who would you have wanted home next? To be that second member of the jury to either chat with you with, or someone that you really didn't that would have been there, at least they're out of the game too. And who were you really putting your hopes into winning? Because it couldn't be you anymore. What was the next best thing?
For sure. I think it was, in my head, it was very much the sides had kind of split. And so there was a lot of original soul. I mean, like you could have picked the person, but my eyes were mainly set on just that original soul group, which seemed pretty strong. I also heard that from Sabrina a lot. Was just that like, especially and Zach being slightly out of that, I'd sort of heard too, but that kind of tight group, especially with Ryan, with Lindsay, and with Cass, like there was those bonds were the ones that I really wanted to go after. And so once I was out, I was still rooting for my Mind Triad group for the most part. Owen also, you know, you probably could have told me on different days, and I would have said I was rooting for Lydia or Sabrina or even Kevin or Owen. Like I had so many good friends in there that I kind of just wanted any of them to go to the end.
Great. Okay, one last
All right.
question. Would you come back and play Survivor Syracuse again?
Yeah, I mean, no question about it. I had so much fun playing the first time that it would be the easiest decision to just to go play, especially in a COVID year where we couldn't fully meet people. You know, I have a lot of friends outside of the game who just didn't meet anybody new there during the year, didn't get that experience, and so to get the experience to meet new people in this situation was something I really won't forget.
And Carl, one last question. Would you ever make the leap to CBS Survivor if given the opportunity?
You know, I think I would definitely say I'd try. I don't know if I have quite enough personality to be on the full show. I think Kevin's the only character from this season who might. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, I love the regular show. I love Big Brother. I'm on the West Coast, but I was watching an East Coast stream so I could start watching the episode tonight. Like that's how I am. I really love reality TV. So yeah, any chance to play, and even if it was just another one of these types of games, you know, the real life games, any of those, I mean, they'd be really.
Lydia, for those who don't know, Lydia's Twitter bio is aspiring reality TV star. So, Carl, you might have some
We'll
explain
have this conversation later.
after the show. Well, I will give you means to have that conversation right now. Thanks for coming on. It was so great to have you. Good luck in life. I hope we get to see you again. Yeah, have a good summer.
For having me
Great
on.
to meet you.
Okay, well, now that it's just us squirrel friends again, looking to next week, what do we think? Like, looking back at the votes, it was a 5-5 split between Lindsay and Lydia, and then the two people that couldn't vote, Kevin and Owen, both would have voted for Lindsay. So that is tentatively a 7-5 split. Minus Carl, so that's a 6-5 split. But I don't know, because we know we don't know where his loyalties lie. He has these narcs like on the other side, but he does have the numbers with mind and body going on. So, and Owen, who knows, because he's also in talks with Holly. Where do you see this week going, and the merge in general? Do you have any predictions? Open-ended discussion to wrap us up. Whoever wants to talk.
Okay. Well, I am very curious to see fallout next week from this episode regarding Lydia and Lindsay. I want to see how that settles post this vote. And I'm still kind of trying to land on who I think is going to go all the way. So I'm up in the air on that.
I mean, I have no informed decision ideas, but I have people that I want to win.
Sure. Such as?
I have a top 3.
Yeah, who
I
are
have a top
those
3
people
right
you
now.
want? I'm not going to answer that because I actually know who wins, and I'm not going to spoil. So,
Oh,
who do you
geez.
think?
I mean, okay, this is, again, not even knowing if I feel like they would win, just I hope. I'm sending past positive energy there. I really love Kevin. I think that it'd just be fun. I feel like it's hard for really likable people to make it to the end sometimes. And so he's made some questionable decisions that I think Sorry, I'm just watching Paul react to me talking, and he's made some questionable decisions that I think will make his story more interesting if he gets there. I think that would be fun, and it might make people more willing to bring him now that he's made some like foot in mouth moments. I love Holly. Just yeah, and Joe. I think Joe is like this sneaky. Like, I don't think he's necessarily playing sneaky, but no one's like hardcore eyes on him right now. And I feel like that could be a good thing for him.
Yes, I think Joe could be a dark horse. And I think maybe Ryan. I think Ryan might be another unexpected. He could go all the way. But I would love to see a lady take it.
I know. I'm always like,
take it, or lots of, we're always hoping for like the lady alliance. That's where our hopes lay, I think, as a podcast.
Even though I have like two gentlemen in my top 3, which is not a normal thing for me, but we're going with it.
These are great gentlemen. Kevin and Joe, great guys. Blame you.
The whole cast, we love them all.
All the castaways.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think just generally, I think overall, there are a lot of strong players in this merge. So it'll really be interesting to see how things play out in the way they do. And I'm just really interested to see essentially how, Lydia and Lindsay are going to recover from this, or if they will recover, or how that's going to go about. How are people going to explain themselves with this vote? Because I know people are going to be asking questions. So I think there's just going to be a lot of chaos. I'm just intrigued to see, what is it going to lead to? Is it going to lead to unexpected, an unexpected vote moving forward? Are we going to see people we weren't expecting to work together? Anything can happen in Survivor and in Syrvivor too. So I'm really looking forward to seeing kind of how this season plays out.
Yeah, seeing how do you find your footing after being one of those 2 players who was on the chopping block for 2 consecutive votes, essentially.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it really is a super competitive season. Like, everyone came to play, and especially at this point in the game, no stragglers around. Everyone's really committed to playing their own game. Like, Survivor Cast International, we have long episodes, but it's because we can't give anyone a purple Kelly at it. It's just impossible. As much as we want to, they give us the footage and the excitement and the strategy. There's no avoiding it. And it is mind, body, soul, but there is a little bit of mind, body, and soul in all of them. And we're really seeing that come to light now that they're all #teen spirit. But I don't know. But it's been great having you all on today. If there's any closing remarks you want to make, any shout outs, but it was a pleasure. Good talk. And any questions on the comments, for sure.
Well, thank you so much for having us. We love Syrvivor Syracuse. We think the production, the show in general, just really something special you've got going on over there that we love to cover.
I really hope Luke someday ends up in front of a screen full time.
Such a good host. A good host.
It just needs to happen.
Mm-hmm.
This was fun.
Yeah, thanks. It was a good time.
Thanks so much for coming on, and make sure to listen to Survivor Cast International wherever good podcasts are found. Apple Podcasts, Spotify.
And we're gonna have to go and catch you, Geneva, on your Rob Has a Podcast. It's your stuff. Super excited to listen to that.
Yes. Everybody can go to Rob Has a Podcast and check out the Big Brother recap from yesterday night. It was crazy. There was lots of, I don't even know what happened, but there were a lot of times Rob would literally steer the conversation to me to bring us on track. That's kind of how chaotic it was, but it was a fun time. It was great to podcast with them. And then I also kind of started a podcast with a couple people from that community called Silent Podcasts. So Silent Podcasts, we're currently working on our production to become audio podcasts, but we are on Twitch and we are also on YouTube. So you can find us at Silent Podcasts. We also have a Twitter, silent_podcast. You can also follow me at Peace Love Jen. In my link tree, I have all those fun links if you want to find out more information. So yeah, it was great to be back and talk a bit about Survivor.
And thanks so much for coming. It was great to have you, Geneva. You are, without a doubt, one of the smartest people to ever play Survivor Syracuse, and maybe to ever play. I don't know. But
That's a massive shit.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Okay. We got a question for the panel from Jake, producer Niebuhr. I don't know what he means.
No. This. Okay. If you guys just watch RHAP and you'll understand. But it all actually started with a live feed update between Taryn Armstrong and Jacob Jones. And then it translated into the podcast yesterday. And so then I questioned Jacob Jones on where his sources are coming from about that statement. So that's where that comes from.
So there's some breadcrumbs to follow back.
Yeah,
Yes.
Jake Snake Niebuhr will slurp those crumbs up.
Love you, Madison. You are wonderful to watch. It's been great. It's been wonderful to see you. And thank you to all the other comments I saw that were earlier in support of me and my life. So
yeah, thanks for showing up and showing out, bots, so we can full Survivor cast.
Yes.
But
the ruse continues.
I mean, we're just seeing them come up as we're recording. So for all we know, that's just a picture next to a comment.
Exactly. And you'll never know. All right. Well, thanks again. Great having you guys. I have Big Brother and Drag Race to watch. I don't know if you guys do, but have a great night.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.